Our program is called the Chevron Phillips Scholar Mentor Program. And basically it's older students, so juniors and seniors, who are tutoring the sophomore chemical engineering students. And so we only cover the sophomore class level classes. And so that's just a few classes in the fall and the spring. And usually the sophomores come to us and they ask us questions on homework. And so we'll help them with the homework. And in addition to that, we also do events to connect with them, because we're not just tutors, we're also mentors. So we'll be connecting with them as well through these events where we just hang out usually whenever it's not COVID season. We'll organize like movies or game nights, things like that.
I think it's a culture shock to a lot of the students because they're just entering the engineering work and the kind of culture. So it's hard in that sense. It's an adjustment.
Just the way of thinking and like doing the problems is completely different than like what you're used to in a math class or even a chemistry class, something like that. It's just a totally different way of thinking. So I agree that it's definitely a culture shock. I think the big thing is that, like what Lucas was saying earlier, they do receive help on their homework, which is really important, but we are more than just tutors. And I think that the greatest thing that the mentees can gain is just a deeper connection, like with people who are in the same boat as them, who have gone through their position before. So like I said, we're juniors and seniors tutoring them and mentoring them. And so they get to ask us a lot of questions about the classes that they're taking now that we've already taken. So I really think it's like a deeper connection to the school and to their major, and also just good guidance for their future career and their current major and classes.
The main thing the students are receiving is our support and that feeling of support that they receive during the mentoring. I know a lot of students have talked to me and expressed thanks. They've told me, like, I don't know what I would have done without the mentors, just because, we're a resource and we're there, especially when it can be really confusing or disorienting to be in those classes and not know what's going on, or even just, engineering in general. So we're someone they can turn to, and I think that's really valuable to them. I think professional development kind of definitely works its way into the mentoring program. It's a natural question that a lot of students come up with. They'll usually ask around career fair time, they'll say, what's up with this career fair, or what should I expect going in? And, we usually just talk about interviews, expectations, things like that. And I have helped students with their resumes. They've sent me their resumes and I've helped critique them. And then as far as like other opportunities, sometimes I'll point like some of my mentors out who I know are interested in, say, like research, for example. I'll point them towards applications or things that I know would probably be useful in their career as a researcher, especially some students that don't talk to professors as often. I think there's kind of a stream of information that we're able to offer to students that usually wouldn't be able to get it.
The goal is to basically help keep more people in chemical engineering, because I think that they realized before they had this program that a lot of people were dropping out sophomore year. I think that's why we tutor people specifically in the sophomore year, because like what we said earlier, it can be a culture shock. People don't know how to deal with that a lot of times. Maybe they don't feel like they're comfortable going to professor office hours, or they don't know how to read the textbook to get as much information as they can. They just don't know the resources available to them. And so because they created this program, they've seen the numbers go up in people who stay in the major. And it just really helps keep the university producing chemical engineers.
I've actually had students ask me, should I stay in chemical engineering? What's it going to be like in the future? And I'm able to kind of console them and let them know, if it's hard right now, it gets better, you'll get a better grip on it. So I'd say that goal is definitely working, because I've seen those students stick with the program and grow through it.
I think that an additional goal could be helping people decide if chemical engineering is right for them, right? Because like we want to keep chemical engineers in the program, but there are some people, it's true that chemical engineering is just not their major. And so we can kind of help in that area too. Like we'd never turn somebody away and say, you know, you can't do this. But some people, if they really are struggling, you know, sometimes you have to have that conversation of, do you want to do this? Like, is this major right for you? So we can also help with that. I've had 3 internships, 2 I got from the career fair and 1 through a club in the college. And I know additionally that Chevron Phillips, they do say that they like to recruit from their mentors. So that's not really a service that we offer much for the mentees, but it is good that they get to connect with older students who have had internships. Like I've had a lot of people who come to me and ask me about my internships or how I got them. And so I'm able to mentor them in that way as well, giving them career fair tips and resume tips as well, like Lucas mentioned earlier. And I think it's really great that, you know, Lucas said that he was able to help a lot of people with research. I didn't really do research, but I did internships. So people were able to come to me if they were interested in that or just wanted to know more about internships. So we had a lot of diversity among the mentors where we were able to help in all those areas.
There are recruiters who come and talk every year with the mentor specifically. We usually have a meeting every year, and it's just like a networking event, allowing the mentors to get to know the recruiters and give us a chance to kind of get our foot in the door. But a lot of the students, the sophomores, become mentors eventually too. And that's something I've told them too, is that, you know, if you become a mentor, you also get these career opportunities possibly. And yeah, along with the research that Taylor was talking about, I've had one internship. It was a research experience for undergraduates at Louisiana State University. And I came back from that, and I began my mentoring with the program, and some students were interested in that. So I was able to kind of guide them towards their own REUs and getting into research, because starting it off is a little bit tricky. So it's good to have a mentor. I think the social events that we provide, especially the pre-pandemic times, were really important. I think that helps students feel a lot more connected to not only the mentors but each other. So it just kind of fostered that feeling of support. So that's kind of a resource, or I guess a tool to kind of help. We had 3 or 4 of those a semester, and I think that was really important.
So during the pandemic, everything is online. We do all of the tutoring online and mentoring, and we even had some online events. So yeah, the tutoring online, you know, we just have a Zoom session and people can come and go as they please. People sometimes ask questions in the chat, like if there's a lot of people, we're able to organize it in a way, in some ways by using the chat or, you know, different features like that. But yeah, it's been all online. And then additionally, some events we were able to do. Like we actually had a game night online last semester or 2 semesters ago, I think, which was really successful. And so I think some people maybe shy away from doing things like that online, but it was really fun. And I know a lot of people enjoyed it. And we just kind of did things like we did Pictionary online. So, you know, it's like online games that you can play, but also being on Zoom and talking to people. And it was really fun.
It's definitely a different challenge trying to gauge students online. So I've kind of enjoyed trying to figure out how to do that and use different resources. I've started coming into here and using the whiteboard just because it's harder to illustrate and communicate through Zoom. So I think the whiteboard has really helped, and yeah, it's a bit challenging, but it works.
One of the online events we did last semester, we actually did in partner with AICE, which is a club on campus for American Institute of Chemical Engineers. So we're a chemical engineering focused club, and so is AICE. And we did like this joint event online on Zoom where it was like a week or 2 before finals, and it was phrased as like help for finals week. And so I think all of us thought, especially since the mentors were going to be there as well, that we were going to get homework oriented questions. But we were each having like different breakout rooms. And from everyone I talked to in every single breakout room, there was no homework questions. It was only questions about like our internship or research experience or what to expect in the next few years of the curriculum. And so to me, that just opened my eyes as there is such a need for that kind of resource for these younger students. where as mentors, we need to be telling them what to expect a little bit, like, what classes or what semesters, are going to be a really difficult course load so they can mentally and, in other ways prepare. And also just to have that camaraderie and, say, this class is difficult, but you'll be able to make it through it. We made it through it, or additional internship or research experience help. And so, yeah, I think my tip would be that every club should have something like this. Even if the mentors are professors, I think it would be great if they could pull some seniors or juniors in their majors to talk to the students, because it's a different perspective from older students than from professors. And of course, professors can add a ton of valuable advice, but for somebody who just went through it 1 to 2 years ago, I think that is also invaluable. During the pandemic, it's actually set up very similar to how it was like before the pandemic, where each mentor holds 4 hours every week of office hours. And so sometimes those may overlap, or sometimes, you might be the only one having hours, but basically I think the goal is usually 20 to 30 hours of coverage between all the mentors. So, there are usually 5 to 8 mentors, depending on how many students are enrolled and what the needs look like. And so across all those mentors, students can choose to go to different ones, or they can choose to go to the same one every week.
It's nice. I enjoy getting it when it's a scholarship, a stipend. Interesting story. We had one student, Taylor, I think you know who this is. One student, he was asking us about the stipend. He said, asked us if we got paid. It's a stipend, so it's an indirect form of payment. But he asked us. He eventually started getting to ask us how many hours a week we tutor, and then like on average how many hours a week we grade. And he calculated our wages. And then there's a survey at the end of every semester where they ask the students for their feedback on the program, and the mentors get that feedback. And they don't have the student names on there, but I know he said this because directly on the survey he said, I think the mentor should get paid way more after making his calculation. I thought that was funny.
The stipend is definitely helpful. But, like Lucas kind of said, it's not a lot. But I think in a way that can be good, because the people who do this really want to do it. Nobody's doing it for the pay. It's just kind of like a nice added benefit that we get. But most people definitely do it for the rewarding experience and to help others.
The mentors get things out of it too as well. I mean, we also get that feeling of connection and like the friendships with the students, and also the curriculum is good too. When I was a junior and I was a mentor, reviewing all that very fundamental basic things from sophomore year really helped me out with my more challenging junior year curriculum. She's the undergraduate programs coordinator, but she does really watch out for all the students here. So she coordinates a lot of the mentoring programs. I know when we had mentoring in person, there's a bowl down here, a big bowl, and she would keep it stocked with snacks all the time. Like she would come and fill it up, I think once or twice a week with snacks, and people would come in and drop by, say hello, grab a snack. I think that snack bowl is very valuable to the mentoring program. It really attracted a lot of people, got a lot of foot traffic. So Medina does more than just fill up the snack bowl, but that's just an example of like how much she cares and watches out for the program.
I think every program like ours needs a Medina in their program, because she's also just great with the organization, where, us being mentors and students, sometimes it's hard for us to keep up with all of the organizational needs of the program. And she takes care of all of that for us. And I am so appreciative of that. Or like whenever one of us can't fulfill our hours, or we need somebody to fill in for us, like we'll just let her know. And she'll send out a mass email to all the sophomores. Like she will be their point of communication, where we don't necessarily have to worry about that. And so that's been really great for us. Yeah, so I think, as Lucas said earlier, a lot of the mentees in our club or our program become mentors. And that's exactly what happened to me, where in my sophomore year, I had a little bit of that, shell shock feeling, and I wasn't doing as well on the homeworks as I did in like my math classes. So I went to the mentors and they mentored me, and it was a great experience. I mean, they changed the trajectory of my, my major and my career. And so because I got that experience, because I saw how well they mentored me and how much of a difference it made for me, that made me want to become a mentor too. So that's where it led me.
It's pretty much the same story for me. I came into contact with one of the Chevron Phillips mentors. So I'm actually part of another mentor program here on campus, Dean's Leadership Council, and you can be part of that as a sophomore. So when I got into my section, there were actually two other chemical engineering students who were also mentors, who were both a year older than me. One of them was a Chevron Phillips mentor, and another one wasn't, but they both kind of took me under their wing, and were just selflessly helpful to me. So it's kind of they encouraged me to do a lot of things I ended up doing, especially the mentor program, and it feels like kind of like paying it forward, and I still look up to them a lot. So.